Now joined by Christina Fink, a professor of international affairs at George Washington University. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And why are we continuing to see more violence, especially with Myanmar's new government under the new de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi?
The main reason is because the state army has been continuing to launch offensives in northern Myanmar. And the ethnic armed groups who've been participating in the peace process feel that they can't really trust this process if these offensives are continuing.
You know, we've been seeing this video of refugees spilling over into China. That's been happening every time there's been a flare in violence. But the violence is also crossing over into Chinese territory. Right. Could there be a tipping point here? You know, Chinese forces are on alert right now.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that this will be fairly quickly contained. But I can see from the Chinese perspective how frustrating it is that every time there's a conflict in northern Myanmar, it seems to spill over onto the Chinese side. And that means refugees crossing over into China, as well as risks for Chinese citizens from stray shells and, you know, the fighting.
There has been a long history of conflict. What will it take to resolve that conflict, especially, again, as I mentioned earlier, that new leadership? I mean, is there any optimism at all that this could change?
Well, there was a lot of optimism when Aung San Suu Kyi came into power in March this year, and she made peace a priority. And she launched a high-level peace conference in late August, and there's supposed to be a next meeting in February. But she doesn't have full control over the military. And as long as the military continues to launch offensives against the various ethnic armed groups, then there's really no trust in the process. And so it's really critical that the Myanmar military stop these offensives in order to rebuild trust and really bring everybody into the peace process.
What will it take, though? Because she has been under some criticism as of late with all of this. Some people feel like she's not paying attention or really reacting to what's happening.
Right. Well, the 2008 Constitution really splits power between the civilian government and the military. And the military has complete control over its affairs, and it has complete control in the Civil War areas. So whether she agrees or disagrees with what the military is doing, she really can't control them.
And what about this humanitarian issue that we're seeing with the refugees spilling over? China is sheltering all of these people. They really don't have a home anywhere, not even in Myanmar.
Yeah, well, it's been extremely difficult for the civilians, because the thing is that when these armed groups and the state army fight each other, it doesn't just happen in the jungle. It happens in villages, it happens in towns, it happens on trade routes. And so civilians are inevitably caught up in this and affected, and end up feeling that they have no choice but to flee, whether it's inside the country or else over the border into China.
All right, Christina Fink, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for your perspective.